Hi, this is Nathan. I'm glad you could join us for the Wad Fam Chalk Pod, a place of humor, analysis, and excitement. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself on today's episode of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we're here this week to talk about episode 327, Moving Targets.
Affirmative.
It's an episode written and directed by Mr. Paul McCusker. And also starring Mr. Paul McCusker.
Yes, sir.
We can give him the acting credit as well off the top.
Yeah.
And it first aired August 12th of 1995. It's on the Darkness Before Dawn album.
Yeah,
obviously.
it's like, was it track 8 or something?
Track 6.
Very nice.
Track 6.
You don't have to tweet at us now.
It's fine. Tweet at us, don't tweet at us. We're okay right now.
Yep.
So, what else do I do off the top? The cast?
Yes.
Cast for the episode is all people we know. Mr. Hansen, the first inspector, is played by Bob Luttrell. Like we said, Paul McCusker is back doing Glossman. We've got our standard people. And then we have James Green as Professor Bovril.
Any interesting acting credits for James Green?
So James Green is a old school British character actor. So if there is a British show that you like, he has definitely appeared in an episode.
Doctor Who?
Yep.
Whoa, he's in What a Girl Wants?
He is.
And a Johnny English.
Uh-huh.
Hot diggity dang.
And Sherlock Holmes, which we do not speak of.
It's bad. Or the sequel that is worse. A Game of Shadows.
He played the Abbot in the Doctor Who episode The Bells of St. John from 2013.
Wonderful.
Yep.
He was in Les Miserables.
In the ensemble.
Yes. He was in Dark Souls? What?
He was in 2 episodes of Merlin, playing the ferryman.
Supposed to the ferryman.
But yes, we can keep going essentially forever. The man has over 150 credits.
That is nutty.
And is still working.
I love that is a part of the film community, are just the people that are extras and walk-ons and small bit parts, and they just do everything.
Yeah, he was in an episode of The Crown. He's just in it all. It's great. We
need an Englishman.
Yeah, it's great, and I have to imagine that he's a connection that McCusker made when McCusker was living in England. I don't know if that's currently at this point, or if that has passed by now, but.
I didn't know McCusker lived in England. Yeah,
for a good period. I believe his wife is English. Don't tweet at me about that. Anything we say.
You can tweet at me, though. Personally. I am intrigued.
Anything we say can be taken with a grain of salt.
Yep. Or if you're me, lots of salt.
Because pots.
Yep.
I got the joke.
Thank you.
All right. Can I roll the promo then? We good with that?
I would like nothing more, Dylan.
Wow. Nothing more.
Nothing more.
You might be surprised what you dig up under the next adventure in Odyssey. Jason Whittaker invites more trouble than he can imagine when he opens up a new exhibit at Wits End. Things go from bad to worse when Philip Glossman starts snooping around. Is this the end of Wits End? Find out next time on Adventures in Odyssey.
That's a good promo.
Yeah. Also, I feel like the end of Wit's End is jumping to a bit of conclusions there. It's
It
like
is, and I also
somebody's
feel
there.
like-
Wit's End is over. The show also over.
And it feels like that's a line that they use a lot in these things, and I don't know if that's true.
Just fabricate conflict.
But I feel like
You can make
it starts with a pun
Oh, I missed that.
because it says something about digging.
Oh. You know, Dylan, I didn't get to ask you, how are you doing? How you holding up this fine Saturday morning?
You know, I'm doing well. Thanks for
Good.
naming the time and place. Or I guess just the time, but
Well,
Whatever.
places individually in our own homes.
yes, because it is still virus time. But yeah, I'm holding up well enough. I had a fairly relaxed long weekend here.
Yeah,
It's,
Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day, Chalk Squad. Drink
Yeah.
responsibly.
This will be coming out the day after Memorial Day,
Yeah.
so past tense, but okay.
Hey, you know, hindsight, retrospect.
Happy Memorial Day.
Happied. Whoa. Is that the past tense of to?
It's not a thing, Andrew.
You convinced me. You said it with enough confidence that I was like, yep, that's right. Happied is the past tense of happy.
Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Christmas.
Yeah. That would be Married Christmas.
Oh. Married Christmas.
This is a dumb bit.
Yes.
So we start off the episode with a Chris intro and a classic Odyssey teaser.
Yeah.
Which got me so excited for the episode.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I was listening
yeah.
to that teaser and I was like, it has begun.
Yep. It's time.
Like we finally crossed the bridge into it feels like the back half of this album is what Battle Lines was.
Yeah.
Whereas like the front half was still kind of setting the scene.
Yeah,
Kind of your
some very
danger
counter moves
signals
type
era. But now it's like we have begun. It is hyped.
A war. Jason is back.
Jason's back.
Jason's back.
Oh man. Missed opportunity to not start this episode with a recounting of our Mitch is dead bit, but with Jason is back.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
said, hindsight 2020.
Yeah. So that's how the episode then begins, with Jason back and talking with Eugene, and
Yep.
he's kind of asking Eugene to catch him up, and Eugene's like, "Oh yeah, I can't catch you up because I wasn't around either." At which point I realized, "Oh yeah,
Eugene wasn't
he
around.
hasn't been around."
I
it's
completely
because-
forgot that.
I think it's because he hasn't been around he wasn't around for all of Novacom, and that's what we started by covering.
Yeah. So
But
we're just
when he
used to
hasn't
not
been
having
around
him
for
there.
the last
Eugene is the
basically this
distant
whole album.
father
It's
in
been
this
like
show.
5 episodes since we've seen Eugene.
Yeah, he's like
not more.
your absentee uncle or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of forgot that he was kind of supposed to be here, huh?
But yeah, he has thrown himself into his studies following Katrina's leaving Odyssey.
Yep.
So this is obviously because we cover their wedding in Novacom, pre them getting married.
Yeah.
When they are like dating. Well, now they're kind of sort of on a break. But
Yeah, it's a
This-
weird. Their relationship in retrospect is very strange in the sense that like they really don't do the label thing for a while.
right.
Like they really don't bite the bullet and say that they're an item really at any point.
Yeah,
for a hot
that's
moment.
kind of fair. Until they like run away together and get married.
Yeah.
Like,
And you know, Chalk Squad listening at home, that's how relationships should be. You know? Just get married. Right?
right. Yeah. Don't tell anyone you're dating, and then
Yep.
run away and get married.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is I love this whole exchange between Jason and Eugene to begin because they haven't had a ton of interaction, and
Yeah.
they're both at like really interesting places in their story arcs, and just the kind of getting up to speed. And so Eugene's trying to grow out his mustache.
If you could
as,
call
like,
it that.
right.
In the broadest sense of the word.
Yes, I love that Eugene is also like Eugene's self-deprecating about the mustache.
Yeah.
That struck true to me. Like he knows that this isn't a good look.
Yeah.
Like he's self-aware, and I really appreciate that.
I mean, as somebody who's tried to grow a mustache several times, it just you know
Andrew,
when you don't got it.
quarantine is the time.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's enough for me to try again.
It's quarantine to grow a mustache.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, they have this good back and forth where Jason's also recounting past relationships and mentions a time where he wore cardigans for an entire year after a breakup.
I have some logistical questions. Because if this is an entire year, like, is he wearing cardigans in the summer? Is he wearing, like, shawls when he's at the beach? Does he have his, like, own cover-up for his tan, jacked special agent body?
I mean, maybe he's just in Alaska during this period. There's precedent for that.
That is fair.
Or,
I like
honestly,
the idea of him
like,
walking on the beach in, like, a Mr. Rogers cardigan, though, and just shredded to heavens.
He spent a decent amount of time in Europe. I feel like you could get away with wearing a cardigan in England year-round. Like,
yeah.
He's a traveled man.
He is.
But the cardigan thing is really funny. And then it's at that point that Eugene's like, look, we haven't broken up. We're just, like, taking some time.
Emotional and physical space, or whatever.
And then Jason's like, that's exactly what Gloria said to me 6 months before she married some other guy.
That one hit home.
And Eugene's like, are you trying to wreck me emotionally?
Yeah. One of my notes is Jason gives advice like Andrew does.
It's so good. I love... And Jason's like, oh, I'm sorry, Eugene. Like, this is all gonna work out. And just kind of walks away.
I thought that meant that Katrina was gonna walk in. I thought that he was trying to patch something so that because Katrina was there, and I was like, ooh! But then nothing happened, because you can hear the door open.
Yeah, but she's not an Odyssey.
I know, but I was wondering. Like I said, I don't remember this. I was hoping she was going to show up.
That's fair. But I loved this whole bit. I like kind of the similarities between Jason and Eugene. I like all the Eugene and Katrina stuff is really good. Mm-hmm. It's the one Adventures in Odyssey long-term relationship that we basically see from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I mean, we see Connie and Mitch from beginning to end, but their end is them breaking up at their wedding.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing. It's just that, like, I think that Odyssey does this. Like, I love it when Odyssey does this, and they do it so infrequently. You know? Like, I love the whole, like, oh, let's just talk about our, jilted love lives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do.
And Jason's got a good track record for that sort of stuff. Like, he gets a lot of kind of romantic subplots and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then later we get this one, and we get Wooten and Penny at a later point, which I only saw the very beginning of, but apparently is still going strong.
Oh yeah, they're married now.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
Who knows? Someday I'm sure we'll touch on that.
Someday.
There's so much Odyssey.
In many ways, we'll miss the Wooten days. Always.
Well, there's that, folks. Tweet at Andrew if you got that reference.
If you got that Strokes joke.
Andrew, you just... Okay. I mean, I guess that works too.
Well, they're obscure enough.
No, I know. But after you, tweet at you if you get the joke, and then you explain it. Doesn't work. You're supposed to tweet at Andrew with what that was a reference to. But you can also just tweet at him and say, I got the Strokes joke, Andrew.
Please blow up my Twitter timeline with that. Please.
At Andrew Sabo. Maybe with an underscore.
No underscore.
Maybe backwards.
Nope. That's Snapchat.
So many options. Now you know how to find him on Snapchat.
Sabo Andrew 10.
Oof. So...
Please don't steal my identity. Actually, you can have it.
So yeah,
I've been meaning to rebrand.
What's your new name gonna be, Andrew?
Auntie Clementine, of course.
Ah. Tweet at Andrew if you get that joke. And so Jason then moves on to talk about opening up the tunnel for tours. This is the infamous tunnel that will later be a big part of Novacom.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point in Odyssey's history, it's just the Underground Railroad episodes, I think, that it's really been a key factor in.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
it's
a big thing. It was used for slaves. There was like a 3-part episode kind of explaining this tunnel.
Three-part Underground Railroad episode, in which I think they discover the tunnel in those episodes.
Yeah.
It's interesting what Jason does and does not know about.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, he knows about the tunnel. He knows about Glossman. He did not know about Blackgaard.
Yeah. Well, don't we think that Blackgaard's dead at this point?
No, I'm saying, but, like, when he met Blackgaard with Tasha, Blackgaard explained his history with Wit, and Jason had never heard of the man. Mm-hmm. But in this episode...
we know that he knows about the tunnel and Glossman.
Right. Glossman shows up and he's like, "Oh, you're that guy who now I recap what you've done."
Yep.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. Expositional dialogue is expositional.
Jason does also have an unfortunately flippant line talking about the tunnel. He's talking about the historical significance and whatnot. He was like, "Yeah, it was used with the Underground Railroad to free the slaves and all that."
Yep.
And all that.
You know,
all
just
that.
Slavery.
Free the slaves and all that. I was like, Jason, choose your words more carefully, sir. You are being recorded.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't be racist. Please, Jason. Don't be racist.
And then
bad Jason. I told you not to be racist.
Yeah. Jack brings up that he's got an inspector coming in to take a look at it. And Eugene asks him what Jack thinks about all this, and Jason's like, "Oh, I haven't told him." And I was like, wrote in my notes, "Yeah, that's not gonna backfire."
Yeah.
Cut to the next scene, in which Jack walks down to the basement, and Jason and Eugene are there,
and it backfires. So basically, they're talking about the tunnel, and then Jack goes, "That's nice." Like, Jack just like. Okay. One, I'm going to get this joke out of the way in the beginning. This episode is just Captain America Civil War, and I am totally Team Jack. Just so you know.
Nope. I'm there with you.
Yeah, I don't know. So Jack's obsessed about the timing of all this. And Jack does give like a decently like reasonable response, even though it's portrayed as him like kind of like beating around the bush to what he's really worried about. But like, the truth of the matter is, there is a ton of gang violence in Odyssey, and we are existing in unprecedented times, and you know, undergoing major construction without the owner of the building being there is a bit dicey.
Yeah, no, that's fair. However, Jack is being cagey enough that I once again was like, "Oh, he had a dream about the tunnel."
Yeah.
And then Eugene finally leaves, which I really like.
Oh no,
He's
so
like,
so
I need to get out of here.
Yeah, he's like, "I need to get out of here." But what he's doing is he's taking rock samples back to the college or whatever to study them.
True.
And so which I was like, why the heck would they need to do that? But my theory is he's checking for limestone to prevent potential cave-ins.
Okay.
That's my theory.
That's an option. Also, he is a bored man who is trying everything he can do to fill his time so he does not think about the fact that his girlfriend has left.
If you're interested in the topic of denial, I suggest you check out the most recent episode of My Scrubs Soundtrack, where I ramble about it for about 15 minutes. I got my plug out of the way before the end.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, he is, like, he brings up earlier that he is, like, replaced, like, that, you know, I'm just doing a lot of work at the college and you know, throwing myself into the studies so that I don't have to think about her.
Yep.
And it's, like, once again, really great how aware of everything Eugene was. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
like that he knows what he's doing.
Well,
It
you
makes
gotta
me
think
really
he's read a
happy.
couple self-help books and some psychology textbooks in his day.
Well, yes, but only because he's a heathen. If he was a Christian, he wouldn't have read either of those things.
Exactly. Oh, gosh. You know that's an entire system of counseling, right?
Uh-huh.
Christian psychology or whatever.
No, I
you-
believe it is specifically Christian counseling because there is not psychology involved. Or is there? Is there?
No,
another
there is.
brand of it?
It's a
Okay.
view of so there's biblical counseling, which is it's just a Bible-based counseling model, which I think is actually fairly decent. But no, Christian psychology says that basically all of the knowledge of the human body and the function of the brain in terms of counseling can be determined from the Bible, which, you know, there's good stuff in the Bible, but personally I find it relatively ludicrous to negate, like, you know, hundreds of years of science for that. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Anyways.
Coming back from that rabbit trail.
Yeah. Coming back from my.
He sounds
joke.
like his Jack sounds like the what was the name of the guy he played, the Irishman or the Scotsman in the
Oh, Donovan.
yeah, he goes cryptic. I'm not meaning to be cryptic.
Cryptic.
Yeah. Just the way he says it. I mean, I have it written in all caps in my notes. And so basically he had a dream about the tunnel and evil, and like the tunnel was a means for evil things to get into Wit's End. And so that's his argument, right? And then Jason's argument is like, well, like, you know, are you sure that you're not confusing the future with the past? Like, this was part of the Underground Railroad. Like, it could be tied to something that's already happened. Like,
Right.
which is actually a fairly reasonable argument.
Yeah.
As far as, like, you know, the vagueness of spiritual warfare, which I'm not a huge fan of the light that this paints this, like, dreams and stuff like that, but also I definitely understand Jason's response, because that sort of interaction and conviction is very subjective to those who experience it.
Yeah.
And then so they're kind of going back and forth, and then Jason's like, I don't want to be defensive. And then he just proceeds to be completely defensive
Yeah.
and like body Jack.
I love the work that they're doing in this episode to kind of put Jack and Jason on opposite sides is genuinely amazing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It is really, really well constructed. And
It's perfectly in line with both of their characters.
correct. And it's building off of stuff established before that we haven't covered. But, like, there is the episode where, and they kind of mention it later on, but the episode where Jason puts video games in at Wit's End.
Yep.
And then later has to take him out. And the episode in which he uses the imagination station to temporarily heal people's disabilities. Like,
Yeah.
those are both things, and honestly, the Mortal Coil stuff shows that Wit, like, it kind of gives Wit a precedent for that as well, and goes to show, like, yeah, Jason, you know, also, like, plays around.
These
like,
aren't entirely unfounded desires.
right,
Like,
and
they've
it's
been
not,
established within the show as like, oh yeah, like that makes sense for Jason's character to do
right.
that.
Well, and also, like, we'll get to it later on, but, like, all of the spy stuff clearly builds his character to this point as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just the tension there is so good.
Yeah. This episode
and-
consists of a couple really long scenes.
Yeah, well, it's a couple long scenes. It all takes place within Odyssey.
Or within Wit's
I'm
End.
an idiot. it all takes place within Wits End. Yes. And so, yeah, it's a really good episode. There's a reason it's a 95% on the wiki.
We could bump that up. I go with the gentleman's 98 for this one.
There you go.
The only perfect episode is Snow Day. That's a take that I will stand behind.
Yeah, that might be an okay take. And so, yeah, Jason kind of says to Jack, like, you seem really tired. Like, you kind of seem out of it. You want to just take the day off? And Jack seems kind of like, oh, yeah, like, I think I'll do that.
Well, because he seems very out of it.
Yes, he does.
And kudos to the voice actor for being able to convey that.
Alan Young, we love him.
An absolute hero. And so basically then the next scene is Connie and Jason and the inspector, the city inspector.
Right.
Who, when they said the inspector, I was like, oh, Glossman. But Glossman doesn't show up until later.
Yep. This is Mr. Hansen, the city inspector.
He's a delightful character.
Yeah, he is.
He says, oh, it's safe, and I don't see that there should be any problem, but we have to get state legislation involved because it's a historical landmark and they won't want to do anything with it. They don't want to mess it up. And and like city, starts talking about like the mining boom, and like they do a good job of establishing as to like legally why the government needs to be involved in this, which I definitely do appreciate. And then they're like talking about like the tunnel or something like that, and the inspector goes, "Yep, gotta call the state."
Yep.
And I was like, "That's amazing."
Yeah.
And so then, what is it? It's Connie and Jack after that, right? They're talking about the Israelites and...
Right, and Jack is, talking about he's just nervous about all the stuff with the state inspector, and Connie's like, look, so like if they do something with the tunnel, like we were talking about using that with the Israelites, and he's like, the Israelites are on hold, we are not, like,
doesn't he use the word disbanded?
He says on hold at first, and then he says disbanded.
Yeah.
But he also says to like have Billy drop by so that he can talk to him, because he feels bad about not actually making any calls in person.
Yeah, he kind of goes through it, and he's like, I feel really bad about it, but there are kids getting hurt, and it's gonna get to a point where like I can't endorse this anymore.
And he's right.
And that is the correct call. That is the thing about this episode that I really don't think that they paint Jack in the best light. He's not
pretty even-handed, I think.
It's pretty even-handed.
Jack's got his own problems.
Yeah.
The fact that he is not communicating great, the fact that he doesn't really stick up and put up against Jason, that he just kind of like by the end of the episode just kind of like calls it and is like, okay, well, nothing more I can do here. I'm just gonna have to let the man like make his own decisions and fail. But
which is some great wisdom, but I just don't think that this episode gives that kind of decision making enough credit, because I mean, it's a lot harder to walk away than to do something dumb.
Right. Well, and Jason's very much our audience surrogate for this episode.
Yeah.
He's the character that we're following and we're invested in. And so we then get...
Oh, Jack isn't going home. That's important to note.
Yes.
Jack isn't doing self-care. Bad Jack.
So then at this point, Eugene comes back and brings up that the walls are, lined with a very interesting mineral, but that they're still doing tests. And then one of my favorite interactions between two characters in Odyssey, probably like right up there with Wooten and Connie go to the carnival. Even though
every time I look at your mustache, I want to ask you how you're doing.
Yeah, but You're saying it was such a laugh. She says it so sweetly.
Oh no, it's very sincere. I just think it's a funny.
It is.
It's a funny way of being like, oh yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just her kind of talking to Eugene about like, hey, like, how are you holding up? I know things have been a little bit rough, and he's talking about the mustache. He talks about how he's kind of, filled up all that time in his life where he that like Katrina had been taking up by just throwing himself into his work and studies, which is not at all a relatable thing by any means.
I've never done that
That's
in my
exclusive to Eugene.
Yep.
No one else has ever done that.
Certainly not me.
It's very much a construct of the show.
Yeah.
And
this is when our Odyssey is departing from reality.
Right. This is the departure.
Too much haha, pretty soon boo-hoo.
Yeah, and he's talking about like the mustache. Like every time he sees the mustache, he's reminded of her, and also the Bible that she gave him at Christmas. Like he is constantly reminding him of her, and then he's like, I should probably just get rid of it. And Connie's like, the Bible? And he's like, no, the mustache.
Yeah.
And the scene just kind of ends on Connie being like, so you've been reading the Bible?
Mm-hmm. And Eugene's like, well, yeah, of course. I told her I would.
Yeah. And it's so... It's such a good scene, guys.
Oh, I love the Eugene and Katrina arc. I think it's so good.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I miss being in love. Anyway.
Ooh, that got dark. If listeners want to go back and hear Katrina give Eugene the Bible, that happens in 294. Unto us a child is born.
There you go. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Is that an AIO Wiki special?
It is an AIO Wiki special. I can't take credit for that.
Okay, just checking. So then this is when the state inspectors come. Emphasis on inspectors.
Sir. So Professor Bovril shows up, and he's
Glossman.
Yeah.
He's back.
I love it.
Sleazier than ever.
He's so good.
Yeah. No, he's such a good bad guy.
My word.
He's a real good bad guy.
He just shows up and is like, hi, guys.
What up?
It's incredible.
Shady's back.
Back
again.
Yeah, it is maybe enhanced by the fact that McCusker apparently doesn't like this performance. Mm-hmm. But it's so good, guys.
Oh no, it's really good. I mean, the character of Glossman is so well done, and like, ugh. I mean, it's the whole bit where it's like sleazy politician can't be touched because he's so slippery and he knows how to game the system, so he can do whatever he wants, and even if he gets caught, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just so good.
He is very much the Lex Luthor of Odyssey.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I say that as somebody who barely knows the Lex Luthor character arc. But
I mean, yeah, Lex Luthor's whole thing is that he's above the law.
There it is.
And at one point he becomes president, and at other points he is like, head of the UN, or just like a more local politician. But like his thing is that like, yeah, he is the law and is therefore above it, which is very much Glossman's vibe. Yeah,
and I'm here for it. So then we get Jack and the inspectors, right? So they're like kind of like, well, what are you doing here, Glossman? And
oh yeah, this is great as well.
Yeah, he's referred to as the governor's overall troubleshooter.
Yes.
To which
all around troubleshooter.
What? Like what kind of a what?
He's just the right. His job description is basically get your nose into everyone else's business.
Yeah, basically, but like, why would the governor hire that? And also, why would the governor be like, oh, you know what I need to know more about? That tunnel at Wit's End.
I think it's truly Glossman just does what he wants.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a
Under
license
the
to kill. He's
guise
got level
of-
5 clearance. He can just kind of do whatever he wants.
Absolutely. And he what is his thing here? He nope. I don't remember.
Oh,
where
there's a bit
going.
there's a bit where Jack is like, be nice to them. And and then Eugene's like, well, I could fix something in my chemistry set for Mr. Glossman.
Yeah. And then Jack has the best line.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, now children, let's be on our best behavior.
Yeah. Which I'm like, oof.
It's
just
the
crush
perfect,
them under
it's
his
the
heel of
perfect
sovereignty.
scold of Connie and Eugene. Because
Now
they are
children.
doing their classic thing of being jerks to the face of a person they dislike. And just like, that's not how you interact with people.
That's not how you're human. I vote no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, so basically, they go to conduct their study, but it has to be done in private, and so
Right.
Jack's like, oh, well, it's down the stairways, and what is it, to the right, or whatever?
Yeah, whatever he says. Bovril says, let's go see this so-called tunnel of yours.
Yeah! To which I was
So-called
like,
tunnel?
what? What do they think? Like, did they think just somebody dug a hole? Like, what? We want state inspectors to come by to check this little, oversized cat grave that we dug in the basement of Wits End.
Yeah. And so Glossman's like, yep, I'm going to go down alone. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And Connie's like, I don't, he leaves and Connie's like, I don't like this at all. And Jack's like, well, look, I understand your feelings, but there is no reason to be rude.
Yep. Which, good
I
call.
really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so
And then this is the part that this scene is amazing.
yeah.
So Jason comes in, doesn't know who Glossman is. Then they kind of jog his memory and he recaps everything for the audience. Connie steps away to make... Oh, so it's Jack, Eugene, Connie, and Jason in this scene.
Yeah.
Connie then steps away to answer the phone that's ringing in the background while Jason and Eugene are chatting.
Yes.
Connie yells to Jack that Billy McPherson called. Jack says he's going to take it up in his office. Jason and Eugene keep talking, and Eugene's like, okay, I think I'm going to go to the library and see if I can dig up some additional historical information.
Yeah.
Then
it's revealed that Jason knows Billy, right?
right, well, because we know that.
Yeah.
Because of the...
Wait, no, we don't.
Yeah, we do. Code of honor.
Oh,
Jason and
yes,
Jack
yes.
track down Billy.
Yes.
And so Jason's like, well, what are you guys doing with Billy? Like, why is that a thing? And so Jason's like, and so Connie does like a really bad job at lying. And Jason's like, oh yeah, Billy was in the Israelites. And
Connie's just like dancing. And
Yep.
he's like, maybe I should just talk to Jack about
yeah.
this.
And she's like, great.
Yep.
And it is so well staged. These multiple conversations all overlapping and people pulling bits and pieces from each one.
Yeah.
And like the sound design's great and just the overlapping dialogue. And it's one of those scenes where like it's not necessarily flashy, but you can tell how much skill it takes to pull that sort of thing off.
Well, yeah, because they're combining a bunch of different plot points, a bunch of different storylines,
Right.
flawlessly in one central scene in one central location, and you get
Right.
that through a phone call. You get that through Eugene leaving. You get all of it finally coming together. You get catching Jason up on all of it, like.
Yeah.
It's like a symphony, and it just all works together, and it flows completely naturally. It doesn't seem forced at all.
Yeah, it genuinely reminds me of some of some of the really good stuff that Aaron Sorkin can pull off, and writers of that class where they're pulling all of these different pieces and weaving them in to one conversation, and also this is doing it without visuals.
Yeah, which is so impressive.
It's great. I love the way this scene unfolds.
Yeah.
Then we cut to the tunnel and a conversation between Bovril and Glossman.
Yep.
Bovril thinks that he found what they're looking for, says that he will be very happy, referencing a third party.
Couldn't be
Glossman's
Blackgaard.
like, no, absolutely not. This isn't the Blackgaard saga. He is not on the cover of this album. I don't know why you keep bringing that up, Andrew.
It's the chairman. He's back. Actually, well, he wouldn't have been back. This is his first introduction.
No, it's like the Star Wars prequels where this is the correct order that you're supposed to listen to these things.
Yes. Okay, understood.
And so he, Glossman's like, okay, we're gonna need indefinite access to this tunnel. Like, I think I can figure out how to pull that up. And also, I have an ace up my sleeve that nobody knows about.
Yeah. We get a I mean, that's a killer line, but we get a great line from Glossman where he's like, there have been too many goof ups. And I was like, oh yes, we can't swear.
Even the bad guys say goof up.
Yep, and it's we drink our lemonade with our absurd amounts of ice and
yes, sir. The only way you can do it. And so yeah, it is. We then go to just another incredible scene.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Not-
really
this
where
one-
we get the Adventures in Odyssey Civil War bit.
Right. This one is not as technically impressive as that previous one, but it is emotionally, like, it wrecked me.
Oh no, it's super good. It's dynamite. They're both functioning. They're both incredibly lovable characters, and they're both functioning completely within the normal spectrum of their characters.
Correct.
And it just puts them at opposite ends, and so it's like you can't really even not like one of them from it.
Right.
You know, I mean, Jason definitely comes out looking like a bit more of a jerk, but
Yeah, I would argue that in that way, it is better than Civil War.
yeah,
Because nobody feels like they are making a decision to advance the plot. It seems very much like, no, these characters are well established, and this is how they are going to line up.
exactly.
And so it starts out with Jack filling in Jason on all of the Israelite stuff. Mm-hmm. And Jason's just like, I cannot believe that you did something that aggressive. Like, you actually took action. You made a play that I would have made.
Yeah.
Who are you, Jack Allen?
Yeah. Which is a good line, and you're like, oh, this is very friendly. And then he's like, well, but I also, I just can't believe that you would quit so easily and, like, go at the first sign of trouble. To which I'm like, well, there are children getting beaten up. So, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, that is a good call.
Right. Jack absolutely made the correct thing. And Jason's like, you threw it all in because some kid got a bloody nose. And it's like, no. Like, it was more than that. These are kids, and Jason says, like, or Jack says, like, how I can't ask them to do this, put themselves in harm's way. And he's like, well, if you don't ask them, who's going to? And it's like, nobody, Jason. That's the point.
They're children.
Like, right.
You don't enlist children to fight your battles. This is a bad idea.
Yeah, it makes so much sense with Jason's whole thing of, like, he was a secret agent. He is a man of action. Jack owns an antique shop. He is not. Well, I mean, not at this point, but, like, will. It's so smart the way they make this work. And
well, and because Jason does the whole thing where he's like, he's super excited to get involved, and Jack's like, no, like, that's not a thing anymore, like, we had to call it, and that's where we get all this pushback, and then Jason's like, well, let's go at him, like, let's fight a little fire with fire, and that's when Jack's like, nope,
absolutely
I'm
not.
out. We're not supposed to fight fire with fire. Like,
Yeah,
that's not what Christians are supposed to do. And then Jason's like, that's all I know how to do.
It's the only way I know. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, Jason. Oh, I mean, I get it. But also, oh, why you got to do that?
And then the their kind of argument ends with the perfect exchange, which is here on the wiki, and I think Andrew and I will do it if you're cool with that, Andrew.
I'm ready.
All right. I think I will be Jack if you're cool with that.
Okay.
So, you're taking over the Israelites.
Yeah.
Well, I can't stop you any more than I've been able to stop you from doing anything you've done over the past few months.
Well, you always said I was stubborn like Dad.
Stubborn, yes, but not like your dad.
Chuckles, sadly.
Yeah. It is
Cold-blooded.
It is a gut-wrenching scene because it's like, you just, like, we just invoked the name of Wit, and you were like, no, you're not worthy of his name.
Yeah, you are not like your father.
Yeah.
Ugh. And that's just ugh. And that's where the scene ends. And then we get the inspectors. They're up from the tunnel, and basically, okay. One interesting thing: Glossman introduces himself to Jason, I think, or Eugene or somebody, and he doesn't use his first name, which I thought was interesting. He's like, "I'm Glossman." I'm like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when he introduces himself to Jason because he hasn't met Jason.
Yeah, so there's like unusual elements in the tunnels, which they say plural, like there's more than one.
They shouldn't say elements.
Yeah.
Minerals, compounds.
Yep.
Both
substances.
Totally acceptable. Substances. Elements is too specific.
Elements is very specific.
No.
We got vibranium underneath.
Right, exactly. that was my thought as well.
Yeah.
But yes, and Glossman's like, all right, like we're closing down, we're taking over the tunnel so that we can keep doing, testing, and
then they push
Jason's
back.
Like,
yeah,
well, like can we like I don't know that we want to do that. And he's like, oh look, you don't have an option. Wits End is owned, like the land that Wits End sits on is owned by the city. Mm-hmm. So we're just gonna do this. We're gonna investigate.
Yeah,
and
he's like, well, there's like, we have this power by the government that we can do this.
Jason's like, well, there's no way Tom's gonna go for this.
Yeah, to which I was like, wait a minute, Tom does not have like power to override the state government.
No, but the land is owned by the city.
Which is, I mean, what is the difference between city land and state land?
Presumably, Tom gets jurisdiction over it as the leader of the city.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was what the mayor did.
I assume he has more sway because it's not as though it's like state land.
Does Lidditz have a mayor?
No. Anyways, but then Tom has this, or not Tom, Glossman then has a very like ominous like, oh, Tom Riley is going to have far bigger problems. Mm-hmm. Far bigger problems.
Yeah. And you get this, somebody asks him, like how he's able to do all this and how he's able to kind of just manipulate the law to serve his function. And I'm just like, money. The guy's got money. That's how you do it. You pay the right people, you tell the right lies, and you're golden.
Yep. And then Jason goes upstairs.
Looking for Jack.
Talk to Jack. Realizes Jack must have slipped out the back, and he left a note. The note is his resignation. Jack won't be working at Wits End anymore.
Yee.
Yeah.
And that's where the episode ends.
Brutal.
Yeah, this is a rough one.
It's so good.
Oh no,
I feel like we kind of sped through it, but it's a plot-heavy episode. It's just a bunch of conversation scenes, and it's great. If you take one thing away from us talking this week, it's great.
Yeah. Oh no, this is a dynamite episode. I mean, yeah, one of the best ones we've ever covered. I love it all. It works super well. It's all good feelings. I just have good feelings about this episode.
Yeah. We're both on the same page as we are absolutely Team Jack here, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Jack. I mean, you know, as a young person, I definitely would have sided more with Jason, but now
I think so as well.
being more reserved feels like the wrong word to use, but definitely being more hesitant and also not being prone to violence. I think, yeah, I'm definitely like Jack is definitely taking the high road here.
Right. I'm
and
like,
just
we need
biting the bullet and being like, I know I can't stop you, but I can also not endorse this by, standing around and watching it happen.
Right. We need safety for the children. We need, like, not to be.
We can't make this about us.
Right. We need to protect the kids. We can't make this about us. We can't take the law into our own hands, I think is the other big one, which is something that Jason and Whit both struggle with, as we talk about a lot throughout Odyssey. But, like, I think, yeah, just as I've aged and whatnot, like, violence and vigilante justice and those things don't have the same appeal that they do when you're, like, a kid listening through this and you're like, oh, man, why is Jack being such a wet sandwich? You should definitely have Jason in there to, like, bust things up and take names and do his 007 thing. Like, that's what it's about. And I'm just like, now I'm like, man, Jack is so in the right here.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to work on his communication skills. I wish that he didn't just fold at the end of this and just be like, well, I can't change your mind. I guess that, you're just going to have to ruin some kids' lives. But the thing I will say, though, is that I'm glad, for story reasons, I'm glad Jason wins this fight, because we're setting up some good action, folks.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. The other thing that we kind of glanced over that I would like to touch on is basically, so Jason his whole thing is that he is excusing this because this is something that he thinks that his dad would do. And he's talking about the Israelites, and he's like, no, like, my dad started the Israelites, and, like, this is, very much within his character to respond this way. But the circumstances in which Whit was operating and the circumstances that they're experiencing now are completely different.
Right.
Like, there was no gang warfare.
Right. They
to
were
my
created as
understanding.
people to do good, not to, like, go into battle. And Jack says as much. And we also saw in last episode, you and I talked about that, about how the Israelites seem to have lost sight of what their purpose is, because now they are, like, just fighting.
Yeah, they're
the
not,
bones.
Yeah. It's become a rival gang, not like there's a gang of kids and then there's also the Israelites who just do good stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's one of the best. I don't know. I was really, really thrilled with this episode.
Yeah, no, it's quite quality.
Yeah.
And it is setting something up. And I think that sometimes in these episodes, there's a certain amount of quality lost because you're establishing something later. But, I mean, this episode has a decent amount of action, even though it's not physical action. It's, like, emotional confrontation and conflict.
Yep. Yeah. And like, also, like, non-conflict. Like, I think it does such a good job of, like, we've got the kind of comedic stuff with Jason and Eugene.
Yeah.
We've got the heartfelt stuff with Eugene and Connie.
And
we've
Eugene
got the
and Katrina.
heartbreaking stuff with
Eugene and Katrina.
With Jack and
Eugene and Katrina.
Yeah, I don't know why you keep saying that. Katrina's not even in this episode.
No, but that is a plot point.
Right, but I hit it by saying that, by bringing up both the conversation between Eugene and Jason and the one between Eugene and Connie.
Yes.
Both of those are about Katrina.
Yes. I did not make that connection. We're doing great.
Loving it.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's sleep deprived here. Certainly not me.
No. Andrew definitely had a full night's sleep last night.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a new man. Do we have any discussion questions?
No, I mean, we the discussion questions are about, is it important to, fight fire with fire? Why was Jack so opposed to the plans? Have you ever had dreams like Jack's? Basically all stuff we've either talked about in this episode or a previous one.
Have you ever had dreams like Jack?
No, we've talked about this.
Oh, we have? Okay.
Yeah. I said no, you said yes.
Yes.
That was our conversation.
Understood.
It was much better. If we go back to Small Fires, Little Pools, for anybody who jumped on after that for some reason, that's the one where we talk about it, and it is, I think, a good conversation. But
yeah.
I'll respect our listeners and not rehash it here.
I like that. Do we have any comments from the order? Any reviews? Any emails
comments
of note,
from
tweets?
the order? No, we have not gotten any new reviews on iTunes.
Okay.
Comments from the order. What are you talking about?
Well, okay. My soccer coach always used to say, "Do you have anything for the good of the order?" But that doesn't quite fit. So I twisted it and made it worse. So
yep.
Classic Andrew stuff.
You twisted an idea so far that it lost sight of what it originally was? Who are you, Jason Whittaker?
Yeah. I mean, I have worn a lot of cardigans in my life. There was a time where I wore cardigans a lot.
Not quite for a year, but close.
Yeah, it was like middle school. I wore a lot of cardigans in 8th and 9th grade. I mean, 9th grade isn't middle school, but yeah.
Yeah, that
my
sounds
peak
like
cardigan days dropped off in 10th grade.
Yeah, when you were still heavily under the influence of your older brother.
Well,
past and future guest Brendan Acebo,
yeah.
who is known to sport many a cardigan.
Oh yeah, although he doesn't really wear cardigans much anymore either. And
no, but when I first met Brendan, he was like the cardigan king.
Yeah. That whole gang was. I mean, Joe Landis used to wear cardigans all the time.
Potential future guest Joe Landis.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him wanting to come on.
I know. We were in talks, and then everything happened.
Yep.
So.
Well.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I want to end things for the episode.
That works for me.
You got anything to promote, Mr. Acebo, aside from your already promoted podcast?
No, nothing other than that. Just saying for the good of the order. It's a bit more serious. It's not like a super lighthearted thing, but it's only 15 minutes. It's mildly more existential, but if you want to listen to me talk about fear and denial and psychological coping mechanisms and stuff like that, as it
all
pertains
under the
to
guise
a TV
of
show.
being about music in a TV show.
Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Go listen to the Andrew Sabo, or not. Nope, don't go listen to the Andrew Sabo podcast. That is not what you're looking for if you want that.
No, but that is a good place to listen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
You don't got anything to promote
now. So yeah, not promoting anything this week. Which is someday maybe I'll have something new to bring up. But for now, we're gonna leave, and we will be back next week to talk about episode 328, Hard Losses.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
WadFam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliations with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Fen. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Moving Targets was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Acebo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the WadFam Chalk Pod.